Yeah, I'd
Perfect.
like to do a number as well on Friday.
Well, Simon,
Get in the bathroom where you belong,
you're
Simon.
good at many things, but in front of a crowd and a microphone, it's not necessarily your forte.
Well, I think I'm very good. I think this is
I
really
think
this is going to really this is going to begin my recording career.
I Simon, I think you should be on the podcast.
Well, I mentioned this like on drugs or at one point in my life, and I have to bring it back up because in the era of autotune, Simon's sense of pitch is so bad. I feel like I have to really crunch, like make it like 99% computing. Simon singing songs,
We're
like
not
the most
going back to the
robotic
concept
autotune
of
songs.
okay, forget about it. Here we go. Let's just do this
All
intro,
right.
please. On this, the 302nd, this is the Lydia and Spin, the 302nd episode with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl going out and staying up on Tim Dahl's birthday.
50th fucking birthday. I fucking can't fucking believe it. But
Every day's my birthday, but
I know.
whatever. That's
Well,
really
I always never liked the term birthday. It should be called birth date. I think my birthday is like Wednesday or something like that. But that's a different point.
That's really starting to get pretty spectrumy, Tim.
Well, actually, I don't know. I see not one of these people like Wednesday, 1975. Blah, blah. Oh, Lydia,
yes, Tim.
I share an actual birthday and year, and not that I give a shit about this fucking moron,
You're gonna
with
say it.
with David Beckham. It's the same year and the same birthday, but actual dates. I'm Catherine the Great. Who is it? I mean, I know we're going to go to who yours is in a second. Catherine the Great, Engelbert Humperdinck. It's some weird combination. But can you please share with the audience?
It was actually a Friday.
It was? Oh, nice. Friday. And which fucking that makes Friday is my birthday.
So 50 years later, it's on a Friday again.
There we go. And my favorite
All right,
song
well, you
by
know what?
pop
That is
culture
something
genius
I am
Rebecca Black. It's called Friday. But go ahead.
very happy to be celebrating your birthday
Well,
as
thank you.
opposed to right now complaining about the 100, and this will be now
Oh,
2
yeah.
days of the tyrannical diaper wearing dictator whose name I'd rather not even mention, but I have to
Disaster.
quote this great article that CNN anchor Abby Phillip contributed to the Daily Beast, where she said, well, second verse, same as the first. 100 days in office and at least 100 lies. And these are just some of the things he lied about. I don't have time to go into all of them. Groceries, eggs, bacon, apples, gas, inflation, Biden, Harris, trade deficits, trade revenue, tariff deals, Honda, the 1800s, tax cuts, Zelensky, the start of the war, the state of the war, the end of the war, Ukraine aid, Europe aid, pipelines, phone calls, citizenship, walls, completion of walls, migrants, caravans, border crossings, jails, psych ward, and the list goes on. How about hostages, world peace, South Korea, Japan, China, the EU, Canada, NATO, Germany, Iran, ISIS, the Taliban, the Panama Canal, banks, the ocean, wildfires in LA, water in LA, electric cars, gold medalist, autism, fentanyl, education, the media, COVID, the 2020 elections, again, please, votes, voting, mail-in voting, youth voting, Wisconsin voting fraud, polls, crowd sizes, January 6th, the rioters, the investigation, the weapons, Nancy Pelosi. Now, did
Well,
we?
you left one out. He said,
Condom.
no, the one he said, the final lie, which was just the other day, the most successful first 100 days in presidential history. That's right.
The lowest rating of any president anywhere.
Yeah, come on.
Well, let me just finish my favorite lie. Condoms, claiming that the U.S. was about to spend 50 million on condoms in Gaza, which would, give everyone a prophylactic for the next 40
Well, you're
years.
laughing, but what are this fucking bullshit? Literally, he's the opposite of you because you're into vasectomies. Offering $5,000 to have a child. I
That's
wonder
one
what
year
a child
ago.
costs. $5,000. Thanks, man. I have a kid.
Why doesn't he convince his autistic buddy Elon Musk to pay his fucking kids, of which we don't even have an accurate count of, because he's not giving them any money while taking away school lunch money. So I mean, these people are so
Exactly.
fucked up.
Come on.
I do love the apocalypse, and here it is. In the meantime, we do what we do.
We do what we do. I don't know. Besides that, I mean, there's a lot. Oh, I don't know. What else happened? Like some weather catastrophes.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're recording this tonight on a Wednesday. This goes out on Friday, but I think there's a big one coming in the Midwest right now.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, you should fire all the climate scientists because at least a warning signal, as if it's going to help. You get a 20-second warning when a tornado's about to rip your roof off. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, and it is not only Donald Trump. It's this post Enlightenment. Pillar of reality is more threatening than a perceived opponent of a philosophy, and I don't know. It's like my brother worked for the CDC. I mean, during COVID, like Trump would be like, "I don't like these results. Change them." So these are. I guess we have to be proactive these days. We have to be our own advocates. We have to be our own scientists, which I don't want to be. I can't believe I have to be because
Well, you know what? I mean, we're fortunate because New York, Brooklyn has had very few climatic horrors in quite a while. I mean, we have somehow missed most of it. Now,
are you is this a ominous? I mean, are we having Hurricane
yeah,
Sandy Part 2 this fall? Is that what you're getting at?
look, I can only see so far into the future. I want to see a little bit into the past. And what about the blackout of most of Portugal, Spain, and part of
Do you
France?
think that was a cyber attack?
No, I don't.
You
I
think
think
this
it
is a
was
fuck
just
up? Okay.
overuse. I don't think it was this. I mean, it could be, but I mean, come on. But I just think it was probably overuse. And the thing is, I mean, Spain has a lot of nuclear power plants, and they just went into, generator mode. Uh, and by the way, I know that one of the heads of a small nuclear power plant in the north of Spain, who at the age of
A
60
new
came out,
one? Okay.
came out in drag, but still maintained to have his job
In the
because
Basque? Where?
the Spanish are more, no, is actually in, no, it was outside of Barcelona, actually, not the north.
Oh,
But
South. Okay. All
they're
right.
more liberal by, like, if you want to dress in drag, but you're still going to be able to run the nuclear power plant, go ahead.
Never wore a kilt. I never. But
Got sexy legs. I don't know why, but I mean,
well, I don't
anyway,
have. I actually. Well, Hannah Marcus is going to be on this episode, and she's talking about her mom's legs being shaven. Uh,
My mom
you
is.
have no
I,
hair on them.
I actually. Well, you can't even see hair on my legs. I'm just like the least hairy guy, except for on my head, kind of guy. I don't know what that's about.
Well, and that's going to go away if you keep wearing a hat, so I'd be careful
That's
about
not
it.
true. That's bullshit. But
Wearing a hat where it counts below the belt, all I'm saying.
all right, I'll wear a.
A kilt?
Called a Jimmy hat.
No. What was it? What's it called? The fake pubic hairs. The
Oh, Merkin.
Merkin.
yeah. I should have a '70s shag carpet Merkin for my birthday
You know
performance.
what? That's not going to win any favors in
No,
my
no. I'm joking. I'm joking.
line of work, but nonetheless, whatever floats your
That
boat.
Merkin
I
ain't
don't care
working.
what I don't care what anybody dresses like, what they look
I
like, whatever.
agree.
You don't care what they
I
look like.
agree.
I just I don't want them to look like an orange ass clown wearing a fucking diaper that has butt cheeks in front
I
of his face.
agree.
Who's running the fucking country? That's all I can say. Other than that, all I know is this is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl on his 50th birthday, and Hannah Marcus is our guest. And beyond that, do what you do, motherfuckers. Just do what you do. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and Hannah Marie Marcus, also known as Hannah Marcus, who just came off a rather interesting solo exhibition in New York City. But then she would, as somebody who's not only a musician and an artist, but deals now in smells and memory, olfactory insanity. I think I'm just, hi, Hannah.
Hello.
Give us a little insight into what this exhibition you just had up was all about. I know it involved memorabilia from your dead mother's apartment and also smells that you kind of snuck out of her place. But you've been dealing with sense and smell and the memory of such for quite a while. But tell us about the most recent thing, please.
The most recent thing was called commodity exchange, and it came out of a piece I did for this group show at the only olfactory art gallery in New York, olfactory art gallery. I have to take off my glasses because if I get really close, then then it's perfectly clear. Okay, so yeah, so the piece I did last year was called Mom Objects, which is also, a double entendre, like Mom Objects, and it was at the end of, well, I didn't know it was the end of my mother's life, but it was. I mean, I knew it was going to be somewhere down the line in the next few years, or
it's around 92. We should really close the shade.
Yeah, she was highly committed to living. And
Well, I went to her 80th birthday, and you would see her walk across the room like a 16-year-old. Like there's no joint pain, there's no sense of motion stiffness, or it's just like, is this like a child and they're 80 years old?
Yeah, she was a freak that way. I mean, she really, and she actually, when she started to get joint pain, which was after she was like accidentally, well, this is really we're going full into my mother's like uterus now. Like, we were in Southampton, and she was like shaving her legs on the way to like, this was 87, on the way to a, an artist talk at like the Jackson Pollock Center or something. And
God knows you better have a clean shin.
Exactly. God forbid she should have stray hair coming out of her, calf.
Ironically, going to the Jackson Pollock Center where she wants to be minimalist.
Pristine.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the women around him were quite neat.
Did your mother ever sleep with Jackson Pollock?
No, she did not. And in fact, this was a real bone of contention around. She
was mad about that.
She pushed Morton Feldman down the stairs.
What?
Literally, when he tried to kiss her. She was so.
Say your mom's name.
So her name was Audrey Flack, and she was a photorealist, and she was a ambitious and successful artist, and she sort of went from a world of abstract expressionism. She studied, I'm like, now I'm talking about my mother.
That's okay. We'll get to you.
Joseph Albert's right.
So we got to get the facts straight. So
Yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
no, I mean, it's.
I want to know who she did bed. Go ahead.
She didn't. There's this book called Ninth Street Women, and it's about all the women who hung around with Jackson Pollock and cocooning. You know that book?
I don't, because that's a little before my time, but yeah, I read about my own.
Really like that book, though. I have a feeling.
So and Jackson Pollock were big art whores. Like they fucked a ton of women. Yeah.
I mean,
I know, and Jackson Pollock was sexy and drunk all the time, and like hung out at the Cedar Bar, and was. I mean, what else is new? So there's apparently. I could just make this up and.
No, keep on going.
But I don't know, like. Grace Hardigan and a couple of these other ladies. Who's married to Lee Krasner. She never had much of a career. There was this whole kind of like, God,
art groupie
why
scene.
are we talking?
Well, no, because your mom threw Morton Feldman down the steps.
Right. I mean, that's anyway. So the point being that she threw him down the steps, and that was why. And from that day on, he started composing these really long form, like sort of that's not true.
Did he have a concussion or something?
Yeah, he got a concussion.
Whoa!
And that was when he composed that opera with Samuel Beckett, where it was just like one note.
Now wait, that's inspirational. You push a man down the stairs and he does an opera with Samuel Beckett. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, I mean, but then she decided, okay, let me just go.
Anyway,
he died.
So basically, she gave Feldman head trauma because she wouldn't give him head trauma.
Right, exactly.
That's that.
I mean, he was not like a sexy
No.
guy at the time. I mean, in retrospect, maybe.
As you know, sometimes holding out is giving head trauma, and also relenting could be giving head trauma, depending on how good you are at doing it.
Yeah, that's true. And I really.
You think about that one for a minute.
So let's go to this exhibit, and then because it's kind of revolves around your mom's death. having a star artist mom, that has an impact on your life. It just has to.
More than I realized until she died. I mean, I knew how much of an impact she had on my life as a human being and a personality. I'm barely able to look at the art side of this, actually.
But you grew up in New York, so already you're surrounded by a lot of things that are going on, whether it's mom influenced or not. So let's just talk about you back to you, then we can get back to your mom in a minute, and your thievery of the scents and artifacts from her house.
Okay.
But when did you first start creating, and what format was that? Because you've done music, you've done installations, you've done all kinds of different things. So what was your first act of rebellious creation?
Rebellious. I pissed on my parents' bed when I was 2, and then I think I did not rebel again really sincerely till I was 36.
You intentionally pissed on it?
Yeah.
Like a rabbit.
Like I stood up, I threw stuff. Yeah.
Was it a temper tantrum or was it just like a?
It was a temper tantrum. My sister was very, very severely autistic and developmentally disabled. She's still alive, and I think she sort of sucked up all the rebellious, crazed. She's fantastic, but like she had no agency around it, or she did have agency, but not the kind of agency that you blame someone. Yeah, right. And so that was where all the crazy ass.
So after your piss exhibition at 2,
then I wrote a song. I do remember. I mean, it was songwriting. That was my, that was where I was sort of trying to transmit the subterranean messages, was through song. And the first one was when I was 8, 7.5.
Yes. Well, I mean, you're a very talented musician, I have to say, and you're kind of like a natural. So I guess it's great that you could gravitate towards that, and it's great that your family endorsed it. I assume they did. They're
My
okay.
father was a cellist composer. My grandfather was a composer and pianist, and he was actually a fucking amazing pianist. He has this recording of Beethoven's like Opus 110, 111. That's really weird and kind of like just shy of sort of obnoxiously iconoclastic, but actually great.
So you pissed in your parents' bed. Beethoven got kicked out of his apartment because he would defecate on
right, exactly.
On his
he was
floor.
just pissed. Yeah.
Yes. That's a thing, I guess.
He was thinking about other things, and also he was,
arrested twice as a peeping Tom. No one talks about that
No.
one. Yes.
Dolly Parton used to piss in her bed to keep warm, but that didn't really
Dolly
work.
Parton.
Except for it worked for about a minute.
Shucks.
Then it cold. So it's not fun.
Well, she was freezing in the Smoky Mountains, and she had to warm that stuff up.
It lasts for about a minute. So, all right, at 7.5, you're writing songs. In spite of the fact your father was a master pianist.
Grandfather. My grandfather was a master pianist, a philandering, sexy composer. He was born in Switzerland, in the small town in Switzerland. He moved to like Paris, became.
What year did he move here?
And then World War II started.
Because he was Jewish and he had to leave.
Yeah, he biked to like Denmark. He was like that
What?
Adrian Brody, he was
Whoa.
like a Polanski guy. Like he was just like
the piano.
Whoa, because if you're in Paris, to go to Denmark, you have to go through Germany. He's going in the wrong direction. Like, how did that work out?
maybe he biked to Switzerland. This is more,
Sway had to be in Switzerland because. If you're a Jew,
if
you're a Jew on the run from
I
Paris,
think
you
he
don't
biked to
cut through
Switzerland
Germany.
and then he got to Denmark somehow or something like that.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
But he has a Swiss passport. And my grandmother was fucking amazing on my father's side, but she was like this incredibly beautiful, free-spirited, and Freud wanted to analyze her, and she when she was 16, literally, Freud and her father.
Was she from Vienna?
She was from Vienna.
Okay.
And Freud, he had a lot of fucked up ideas.
She ran away to Paris, and then she met my grandfather, and then it was a shame because if it was another time. Anyway, she met my grandfather, married her, and he was super handsome, and then he fucked her over.
Did Freud try to have sex with her?
No, he was, I mean, she was like
He was ethical.
17.
Oh, well, come on. Yeah. But
Her father was a doctor.
so how
and they
did,
were like,
was she Jewish too? Did she escape during
Of
World War
legal age in
no.
some states and countries, by the way.
Huh?
That's of legal age in some states and some
Yeah.
countries.
Right.
Yeah, and actually, like in Vienna in the 19, I don't even know what it was.
Age of consent, I think, is a fairly new concept.
Yeah,
Construct.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure 17 was just.
All right, anyway, so these two hotties run away to avoid.
So anyway, no. So here's what happened. What happened was he started having affairs with his like choral, people, the girls in the chorus. He was the head of the Paris chorus at the time. So they started having trouble in their marriage. She left, and it was like 19 to 30. When was Paris occupied? Was it 33 or was it?
Somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Bold, very bold.
She went to Chicago with my father and my uncle, and never came back because
There you go.
the fan.
There you go. I mean,
She went back after the war, but
but a lot of composers, obviously Stravinsky came here, L.A., Schoenberg came here. I mean, there was a way
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
There was a way out, and that makes sense. I mean, of course, Paris being the place to be if you're into music up until World War II. Rite of Spring premiere, for instance. Fun fact: the reduction of Rite of Spring for two pianos. Guess who played that premiere in Paris, like 1914?
what's her name?
Stravinsky on one piano, Debussy on the other piano.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Anyhow,
Wow.
All right, let's bring it a little bit forward into the future. So you have this artistic bloodline, which I guess was inspirational. Could have also been an impediment, but didn't seem to stop you. You just you found your own valley to pursue.
I did, but it was I don't know. It was my mother. I think I was listening. Yeah, I was just listening to the Gavin Friday, the
interview
episode.
we did.
Yeah. I was just and I was thinking about spectacle and like one of you said that like there was that we're sort of all doing our thing on Instagram now, and we're not spectacle is conspicuous.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know if I said this, but definitely there is this new belief that the conspicuous artist is not the future, and being anonymous is the future. The celebrity is about being anonymous in the future, not like and privacy.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anonymous, the hacker group, is what I think is the future.
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and I think I probably mentioned this. I've said before. John Waters talks about that, which is, it's not the 1972 teenager putting a brick through a window. It's a 18-year-old shutting down a bag from his bedroom and asking if he can have ice cream to his mom, and he's 18. It's like whoa, and no one even knows. Because and John Waters always talks about this. Is like each youth rebellion historically would have a fashion. So whether it's a hippie or a punk, and there is no fashion of rebellion anymore.
Yeah. So what does he does he have I'm just curious if he thinks it's cool or he thinks it's terrible or he just is saying this is what is.
In San Francisco, in Oakland, was in Oakland, he introduced the band with Lydia, and he kind of, his intro was this monologue basically saying like, toughen up, bitches. I mean, it's like everyone's so precious. Yeah. What I think he's got a little old man in him at this point, which is like, geez, lighten up. Do something fun.
Now he's instated me as one of, and I don't know who the other two are, the Holy Trinity, the new Holy Trinity, but I don't know who the other two are supposed to be. So he's elevated my status as just the average coven witch to like one of the three Holy Spirits. Thank you, John Waters.
That's a really
John Waters,
big deal as far as
Lydia and I did also a duo in Baltimore, and he showed up to that.
I thought it was very beatnik because I was reading the letters of Eileen Warnos, the serial killer.
Yeah. Well, you told him before you're going to do that. He's like, oh, he kind of perked up, and he's like, very beatnik.
Whatever.
He's
So
fun.
back to stealing smells and artifacts,
Okay,
which
so yeah, I mean, I had a lot of thoughts.
which Tim accompanied you at
Yes.
your this past week.
Well, that's why you're here. Yeah, and
Okay.
Hannah brought it up, Lydia. It's like I can not see Tim for 10 years, and we're just like picking up like where we left off. It's like other people go, I'm different now. Like, now we're the same. We're like, let's
Yeah, it's like a
go.
little odd,
That's
really.
cool. I have a few friends like that, but not many actually.
It's one of
Yeah.
your favorite foods. It's because we are consistent.
Well, there you
Or
go.
as I like to say, consistent.
So let me ask you a question, Hannah, because and you might know, you might not. What about like pheromone things you can't consciously smell, but you're clearly your body's processing it? Like you know what I'm saying? Like a certain
Yeah.
pheromone, you can't identify a smell, but somehow your body's reacting to the environment, which has these invisible smells. Like, what's
Right.
that all about? Do you know?
Well, I, as a non-scientist with, you know, potentially a set of learning disorders, but also like and a passion for this kind of shit.
Dogs.
Really have been trying to understand this. The guy who runs Olfactory Art Carol is a neuroscientist and
The German guy.
philosopher of consciousness. Yeah,
The German pervert.
and
yeah.
so I ask him repeatedly, "Is this?
That's fine. It's fine.
It is?
Yeah.
No, it's not though. Put it. Can you
Yeah,
shove it in
I
there?
got it.
Yeah. Okay. There it is.
For people that aren't seeing anything, we're talking about electric plug.
Right.
Go ahead.
All right.
So anyway, right. So the olfactory. Hold on. I actually just had AI quiz me on this. The olfactory bulb. So scent molecules go into your nose, and they are like molecules that potentially will evoke an experience of scent, and they get attached to scent receptors in your nostrils, in the back of your nose, and then those scent receptors convert that signal into, God, I hope I'm
Your
fucking getting this right.
Nerves, your brain.
Must have been the brain.
Electricity,
into electricity.
electrical signals, and those there's like a bundle of neurons that it then gets transmitted into, like, basically it signals your olfactory bulb. And the thing about the olfactory bulb that's different, and also I believe that there are two olfactory bulbs, and this is what that I'm not sure of, because one of the things I'm thinking a lot about is what there are two of and what there's one of in the brain. Like there are two amygdalae, there are two hippocampi, but there's like one thalamus. So the thing about the thalamus is that it processes all the other senses, including like taste, touch, sight, and
Hearing.
whatever the other one is.
Hearing?
Yeah, hearing, who cares?
Yeah.
But right. But so all of the other senses are processed in this like general relay system of the thalamus, but not scent. Scent has its own processing system, and the thinking is that like it might be because it's very, 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 very fucking old. Like it's just like
It's
like before
before the Homo sapien.
before anything. Oh, way before.
Way before that, like
Homo
millions
sapien.
of years old.
I mean,
yes.
before whatever. I
Yeah,
mean,
before we, yeah.
yeah.
Primates.
I have
No, wait,
experience.
I mean, way
Yeah,
before
mammals.
primates.
Yeah,
I mean,
mammals.
animals can smell. Yeah,
I
yeah.
have experienced the scent of a ghost before, of a dead
Well,
friend.
that's-
Smell came wafting to me after he had passed, which was amazing. I mean, I don't know where it traveled, what bulb in my nose or head it hit, but that was
which one
pretty-
is it the hypothalamus? Which one is, I think it's that.
Well, it doesn't matter, but I have to say,
An
it hit
iPhone.
me, and he was
You
there.
don't have to worry about it.
I want to
You
know.
we
I
want to
can't
be.
stand that I'm like not quite right about this.
It's a casual conversation. Don't be worried about it. And by the way, it's 2025. Donald Trump. We can just like make up anything we want here. So
I know,
it
I
doesn't
can
really
make up a
matter.
third center, right.
But let me ask.
The hypo.
Look, talk to me about smell and memory, and,
Right.
and deja vu,
Well, let me
and all
just-
these things.
So pheromones, right? So the interesting thing about pheromones, or I've thought about oxytocin, like what a pheromone is. Like pheromones are technically plants like signals that bees emit, or that plants emit to send messages to bees. So can bees smell? You know, like what
Well,
and humans,
that's what I'm confused about, because it's like where things go in the brain. It's like sharks see by smelling, like where things are redirected. Like scientists are like they'll
wait.
smell, but it's actually seeing because it's going to a different part of the brain that we see.
About bees, they were training bees to smell out COVID or cancer.
yes. And I mean, dogs. There's a woman who smelled her husband and diagnosed him.
Well, dogs have a very
Recognized that he smelled differently.
Yeah.
They gave him all sorts, a battery of tests. They couldn't find anything, and he got Parkinson's. And she found that she could smell Parkinson's on people.
Yeah.
So, but
They
they,
have landmine smelling rats as well. I mean, there are, we have a lesser sense of smell than most other animals, probably because it would drive us insane.
Well, eyesight's our dominant sense. What's so amazing is eyesight are not dogs' dominant sense. Smell is their dominant sense, and they figured out, because humans we make eye contact right eye to right eye. That's why if someone has one
right,
if
yes,
someone has one, like a fake eye on the right side, you don't know, like, are you looking at me? That's why we're right eye. And dogs figured out just to give us those puppy dog eyes, to seduce us, even though sight is not their dominant sense. They figured out to make eye contact with us right eye to right eye.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about
Trick us into it.
back to pheromones for a minute, because I'm just remembering a friend of mine who was transitioning and under a lot of hormone replacement therapy, and every time who then became he walked into the room, it just was the most obnoxious smell to me that I'd ever smelled, but nobody else could smell it. And then
You're
I'm gonna say-
transitioning from woman to man. I can imagine that smelling worse.
I have no idea, but I'm going to also say this. I've also had experiences where when I was in some kind of psychosexual dynamic, transitioning between multiple levels of different universes, my smell and the person I was with smell changed incredibly
Sure.
into something horrible, which I'm like, oh my God, we both stink, as our hormones were going through some
So
weird.
if you guys were coming together, it was like this synergistic disaster odor.
We both usually smelled really good, but when we were going through this psychosexual intoxication of just changing situations and positions and perhaps even sexes, the smell was unbearable, and then it would peter out. So I mean, there's many mysteries involving the mysteries of memory and smell.
Yeah,
I'm digressing here, but in a weird way, especially since you're so obsessed and interested in this, based on what I read about history, or like Benjamin Franklin into shit and all that stuff, I feel like people are trying to hide smells more than ever. Where before, maybe it was, I think people smelled more, whether it was just natural body odor or the perfumes.
Bathing. I mean, at one point, people had an aversion to bathing.
Well, also smell was there was like miasma theory of health and sickness, so that
Sure.
if you and there was thoughts that like
Bathing was bad for you.
right that disease was transmitted through smell, and that was a real that was a
not through smell, but it can be
sort of
airborne.
Well, it absolutely can be airborne, but like the thinking was that like if you actually changed the smell itself, it was sort of missing it was a type of syllogism or something. It was a bad logic. It was like, but I mean, it was understandable. It was a stop in the scientific journey.
Sure.
So going on to an even grander and more horrifying global situation, there are so many toxic smells we don't smell that are poisoning us.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Literally.
I mean, gas doesn't smell.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing. When you smell propane, that's an additive. It's actually not the propane itself, just as a security measure, because you don't know you're about to kill yourself. So they have to make that additive.
What do you think is one of my favorite sexy smells beside you in a white t-shirt?
I think for you, I think you might have told me. Is it like gasoline?
Oh yeah, gasoline. Or like the smell of a
I
mechanic
love the smell of gasoline when I was
and
What is it?
Base Kellers and gasoline.
mechanics
Wait,
and
I
Keller's?
mean, that's a German way of saying
a
it.
mechanic's garage or gasoline. Yeah, or yeah. Those are my favorite sexy male smells on men.
I mean,
Sellers.
I've
Other
been,
than Kim Doll's white T-shirt, which
oh
smells
boy,
like
oh boy.
Well, listen to this. This is really interesting. Like an interesting and well-designed social experiment around smell. So there's a question of, whether smells smell, because there's a lot of apocrypha in smelling, as you can imagine. And I love apocrypha. I love making shit up. I'm in down with buying the whole witch thing, and like
You like to go into in a different dimension.
Yeah, I love.
Which is
I love it. I
it's
love
fun.
it. I love
Yeah,
it.
right,
But
I get
I
it.
also really
Most
love
of the
picking it apart.
I live in a different dimension most of the time.
Yeah, I tend to. It's
Well, I mean,
it's
when
hard
you
to
were
stay
a
in one
kid and
dimension.
you have sleepovers, would you love ghost stories and going into this world with your friends? That
Yeah,
was like,
I told you I had this
yeah.
dream about you. I had a dream about you and Tim.
You hear that, Lydia?
Oh, you didn't tell me
The other
that.
night, you had a dream about the two of us.
I had, not only was it a dream, but it was one of those dreams that, like, I woke up with a massive headache and then I felt refreshed after. Like I think I was like, it was like it was extremely vivid sort of
Well, you remember it.
yeah, but it was like a narrative dream. Like there was a lot going on.
You still remember it.
Yeah, you were, and then in the dream, I was, being introduced to some sort of a secret society, and I was like, you sort of opened this like blue velvet circular curtain, and behind the curtain, like there was some guy in like lipstick and a redhead. And then there was a lot
Right over here at the salon. No biggie. Go ahead.
but there was like a lot of these sort of wandering these
You have
halls
this
of your
before
psyche.
What's that?
Or after you came over to my
Oh,
salon.
after. It was in the morning.
We entered her dream world.
You entered my dream world, but then the hilarious part of you entering my dream world in the dream was that I woke up. And
In the dream, you woke up.
In the dream,
All right,
I
that
woke
happens,
up
right.
and then I was like, Lydia, Tim, you'll never believe the dream I had about you. It was the most fucked up, weird dream. Let me tell you all about this.
And then you woke up again.
Yeah.
That's
It was
going to dreams. Because I'm just thinking about this now. I don't think I ever experienced smelling something in a dream.
your olfactory system gets turned off.
It gets turned off during dream world. Okay.
I've experienced audio dreams, which are
Well,
terrifying.
I've had those. I've definitely had. No, I've woken up with like a bang, and there's like not an explosion, but like that wakes me up. Like, whoa! I have all types of fucked up shit with that.
Yeah, the most terrifying sound dream I ever had was a marble rolling across the floor, and then machine guns outside the window. And I'm just like,
Well, that's music. It's like slow marble going, and then rapid fire on the outside. Cool. Very rhythmic.
Terrible dream.
That's like some Stockhouse and stuff.
Yeah, nice.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
So, what about?
Okay, wait. I feel
What-
like
what-
I haven't
what
answered
about-
the pheromones question.
Well, there's pheromone, just memory, flashbacks from smells, like all that stuff.
So the way that, and I'm still really desperately trying to piece it all together, but like the way that your olfactory system processes smells is it bypasses your thalamus. So it bypasses, I believe, like basically your frontal lobe, and so smell is sort of directly it like goes into your pre-rational brain. So one of the things I think about like and one of the things I had to train myself, and I'm still training
Is
myself
that defense? Like pre-rational brain?
Yes.
It's just for survival.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like
All right.
this food is bad.
Right.
This
Right.
person
Absolutely.
is sexy.
I totally.
Right?
I mean, it's like out of the gate. It's like I might
Yeah,
get killed.
exactly.
And the smell is like that.
This
Worst
person might
smells
kill
that-
me.
One of the smells that is so atrocious that clings to the nose hair is if somebody has a car that a wet dog has been inside. That smell will linger in my nose for days.
No, but it lingers in your memory, not
Yeah.
the actual particles in your nose.
I mean, I do try to keep my nose hairs clean.
But at the same time,
By the way, I really like how we're not talking about my music
but
at all.
but
It's as though I never wrote
no,
a.
you write music, but you kind of
dives.
you know all this stuff.
halfway through the podcast. We got plenty of time.
No,
Let's
I
get
know,
to
but I am so excited about it that I like would rather, honestly.
What
I
does
feel
your
like
music smell like?
about in a
What does your
few-
music smell like?
in a month.
What? I
You
know,
have
but
a
you know what? Don't
recording
even. Honestly, I was so stressed out. I was just idly thinking, like, music carries. I mean, you start talking about music, and I start talking about my grandfather running from the Nazis, and then like breaking my grandmother's heart, and then someone committing suicide, her sister committing suicide in the bed next to her when she was 15. I would like, and then I'm like, God, it's such a fucking. Sometimes it just feels like it's like a 500-pound monkey on my back, like music.
So it's
And
a
I
comedy.
love music. What?
So it's a comedy, basically.
Yeah, I know, it's hilarious.
I-
Anyway, that's what I was thinking. And then I was just like
Well,
whining to you
No,
about
no.
it.
So Hannah was
hang on,
very talented.
Hang on. I'm talking, Tim. You have a new recording coming out in a month. What is it about? And has the weight of the 500 pounds of past death and history been released by this recording?
Well, it's first of all, it's not new. It's actually 15 years old. And I stopped. And one of the things I did was stop recording. I recorded with, I went on tour with Godspeed You, Black Emperor on a leg of their tour. And I then I made a record with them, and it was great. Not with them, with two people.
I've also worked with Carla Boslick, one of my favorite vocalists. Godspeed
Who?
Black. Carla Boslick, who was in the Geraldine Fibbers.
Oh yeah, Carla Boslick. Sure, yeah, she's a good friend of Jessica. Yes,
all related.
Carla Boslick. She's amazing.
So this is from years. So it's a retrospective that's coming out.
There was a retrospective that came out, and now this is finally coming out after I basically dropped it and needed to just learn some fiddle and accordion, and then so the stuff that's coming out now was recorded a long time ago, and it's really great, actually. I mean, you like it or not.
Do fine, great.
Well, I mean, Hannah's talented enough; she can do anything. And just
define great. That's a good point.
The other day, I was like, "So Hannah, what have you been up to?" She's like, "I'm making Cajun music," and I'm like, "Is that is there a scene here in New York?" She's like, "No." She finished before I could finish the question. She's like,
"Can we please concentrate on what is immediately coming out?" And
right.
That is
so this thing is coming out
years ago. But what is the style?
But then something else is coming out that I just recorded in February.
I have names of these projects, please.
So the one that's coming out from years ago is called, and Kevin Shea's on it.
I love Kevin Shea.
Kevin Shea's playing the drums on the end of a tune called "In My Opinion," which is like a quote from Beckett. Actually, which I'm sure the Beckett estate will not sue me because it's pretty fucking.
You could just tell them, "I can't go on. I'll go on."
Right. So the quote is, "In my opinion, it was not an illusion, that presence of what did not exist." And it's from Watt, because like if you open Watt, basically you can write, like 75 songs, in half a second. So anyway, Kevin Shea, I'll play it for you at some point at the end. It's just like,
so that's what's coming out next.
That's what's coming out next. It's called 10 Bones from a Virgin Graveyard. And the reason is there's 10 songs and there's a song called Virgin Graveyard on it. And it was recorded with at the Hotel Tatango, which was at the time co-run by two people in Godspeed, Ephraim Menick and Terry Amar. And that's
up in Montreal?
In Montreal. And I spent a lot of time in Montreal. And that was, I recorded the last record there too. And there was just a lot of emotion associated with the record that
they seem to bring it out in people.
So that's that.
Yes.
And then the other one is gonna come out. That's actually, and that was like an impacted shit, which I'm sure you've had. Like, right?
No, I haven't. Go ahead.
I mean, no, I'm not literally. Let's say we've We all had an impact and shit. But
Well,
right.
just define what you mean by
Let's
that.
go.
Something that should have come out but took a long time.
Like
Exactly.
Beethoven.
First, right,
I
bingo.
did have an album that took 8 years to come out because it was lost. So I understand. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Although I get the feeling you are, yeah, let's, we
She
can
gets
move
it out
past
pretty.
the
She
shit
gets it
metaphor.
out pretty
Exactly.
quickly.
Yeah.
You don't hold stuff in.
Yeah, you don't hold stuff in.
I mean, look, I mean, it comes out when it's supposed to come out. Not everything is just, shout out as should be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but going back and making this connection with your mom, Lydia took a hatchet job to her family chain, and you
exactly.
But
didn't.
it took an
I
axe.
didn't.
You look at it, yeah, exactly.
I was frankly wondering about your family chain. We
Oh,
can talk about that at another.
Well, she has a liberation that we didn't have.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, they used to call me Liz, which is not my name, and I would always say Lizzie Borden took an axe, and you're lucky I didn't give you both 40 fucking whacks.
Yeah.
Just say,
Yeah.
I have all my best qualities from my father, who was a pervert, a gambler, a con man, a short shift grifter, and a badass. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Beyond that, I have no idea because they're all dead. So.
Yeah. I figured.
Lydia,
much.
Lydia, would you share your last conversation with your sisters at your mom's funeral?
Oh, they said to me, we'll probably never see you again. And I'm like, you're right. And I haven't. And I'm in the town they're in about every 2
Wow.
years. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
out of any animosity. It's just there's no reason.
Yeah.
But Tim met the one relative. I have two relatives, and they're not even really related to me
Oh
that
yeah,
I have any
your cousin.
affection for, which is my so-called uncle, who was a Vietnam peace protester who has another one of my favorite smells, cars from
Well,
the 90s.
it was he has these two
Oh my
vintage
God, they
muscle
smell so
cars that he had. They're pristine, and
I had
that
to sit.
generation car has a certain smell. The vinyl seats and the gasoline and the garage. It is a
Rusty-
specific thing. I
rusty
remember.
metal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
I
metal
was
in these cars.
just
There isn't.
thinking about
What?
She's getting excited just thinking about it.
Oh, you're getting right.
Her, I can remember that smell
Actually,
right now.
I
can
get
think, I
kind
can,
of
my
horny
brain.
for that smell. The Tim
my
Mooney
God, I am smelling a little bit of motor oil, but it could be me. I haven't,
right? Yeah, I can like
Well,
flop sweat.
Oh, that's good.
I'm a sucker for information. I don't know enough about this, and that's why I keep on going back to it. So forgive me, but maybe you know the answer. Like, smells that trigger a memory that you can't identify. Like you go in, you're like, I know this smell, when and where, but I know this thing. I don't even know what it is.
Tim,
Well,
you know what?
here's
Might
another.
be why I choke on ghosts when I enter buildings and I don't smell anything, but I suddenly start choking because then I find out, 7 women were murdered there or whatever. I mean, I have that horrendous.
If
Uh,
so, if you like going into the
choking
ghost
on
dimension,
ghosts.
if you like going into the witch ghost dimension, do you believe in reincarnation smells? Smells that you never experienced and maybe you experienced in a past life.
You have
Well,
the wrong-
Arthur, like when you think about smells that, let's say, you don't even have to go into reincarnation, but
I
wait.
call it molecular memory. I don't call it reincarnation.
Fair.
What
Yeah,
did you,
that's
wait, what was it? I had something to say with the, okay, so there's the molecular memory reincarnation smells, but before that there was the memory, smells that you can't put a word on, right? So
Yes.
it's one of the things that I find really fascinating. And actually I was just listening to this conversation with a smell scientist and this crazy fucking
I
bioelectric.
called a smell scientist or an olfactory investigator.
Yeah, that's better. Right? I mean, I think she's a philosopher and neuroscientist, and yeah, specializing in olfaction. But this guy who was talking with her he does like work on like distributed memory and in AI, frankly, and he's like a biologist, and he makes new like forms of life that never existed, like, and I guess it's happening all the time now, transgenic mice and stuff, like, but he makes these things called xenobots and anthrobots, tadpoles with eyes on their tails, in order to find out whether you can see if an eye has been grafted onto your tail. And I don't understand, like, it's beyond me, but like the instructions to make an eye have been
Yeah.
like, like the genetic instructions. So
Yeah.
he's kind of interested in, so what he's interested in is whether,
Is he making a nose next?
well, he's really interested in smell. And part of the reason he's really interested in smell is because smell is so like elliptical and like quixotic. And that's one of those words, like, do you pronounce it quixotic? No, you do quixotic. It's just a hard word to commit to. Quixotic. Anyway,
dog smells.
Words and smells. What?
You like the way your dog smells. I heard him barking.
Oh God, I love the way he smells, and he fucking stinks. But okay, I'm gonna make this really short. But like narrative and smell, like if you this is the study we're talking about. Basically, you can smell something, and if someone says this is there's a single molecule material called sulfurol, and if you smell it and someone says refried beans, that's what you smell.
Yep.
If you smell it and someone says like,
so
milk.
this is where I want to go with this, because the connection of the human abstraction with the sense is a whole other element. For instance, there's new science and technology for some blind people to bring eyesight back, and they would do these experiments.
Right.
They would do these experiments. These kind of like overachiever, like guys who do like marathons, and they're going to work and all that stuff, and they can basically almost get completely back. But one thing they cannot do is this kind of real time depth perception, like catching a ball. They work as hard as they can for a year, and that's something like you develop with the abstract. I wouldn't say that's abstraction at that point, but I'd say there's certain parts of the brain that is abstraction, calculations that are not connected with the actual physical connection with the sense.
Question this, if anyone can answer. Does your sense of smell change if you're blindfolded? I think it does.
Oh, well.
Changes? Because
absolutely.
It does. I mean, the new, what's his name? Sachs, the musicologist. Is that his name? Anyhow, he found out that blind people.
Oliver Sacks? Oliver Sacks. Whatever. Yeah.
Oliver Sacks. He says that statistically, I mean, it's just proven, blind people have a higher rate of quote unquote perfect / relative pitch than people who aren't blind. He goes even further. Tonal languages like Mandarin Cantonese has a higher sense too. So we're born with maybe the sense, and it's eroded through our social connection of non-tonal language. It actually squashes that down. Anyhow,
I just had a horrible thought. I don't know why, but I was wondering, because it's so disgusting to me, what the smell an embryo or fetus or almost full-grown child smells in the freaking womb. Oh, just you can erase. I mean, that is so grotesque.
Well,
I mean, I know what I smelled. The smell of death surrounded me as a natural born killer. All I'm saying is, I don't even know why I came to that thought, but I'm just saying.
Well, Lydia,
you mean what an embryo smells in the womb? When you start smelling?
Yeah.
But Lydia, Elliot Sharp said this joke. How come a baby's shit doesn't smell? So you don't kill it.
I love it. Yeah, you know what? That's why there's free vasectomies for all my friends, so I don't have to of being a child murderess.
Oh well, so let's talk about
one of my many hate.
Well,
let's talk about art and smell.
I was actually just looking So I was actually just looking this up.
What?
You
were just
I actually was just looking up
embryos
and smell passing in the vaginal canal when you're born.
Are you shitting me? Okay, no. I'm now looking out of your brain.
Yes, you guys are connecting here.
What I do, I just really, it's like a chopstick in the brain. I pull it out, I snip it out.
But not from the point of view of the embryo, of the fetus, rather, of the child being born. But you do, it's called like seed biota now, that when you have a vaginal birth or even a cesarean,
as opposed to an anal birth.
Right, no, but a cesarean nasal birth, or
So cesarean, I want to hear this actually.
But so,
What's the reason that the hacksaw was created for cesarean births?
oh God,
Yeah,
why?
well, I mean, I don't believe in any kind of form of childbirth, but that's just me. It doesn't fit in, doesn't come out.
Well, but
Oh, so
you
anyway.
have a whole career as a nurse or a doctor giving birth. You know that smell for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, and I know someone who was a midwife who never had a child because yeah, but you the mother your microbiome, which does smell. I mean, it, like because it's just made of smelly stuff. It's is transmitted through your mother's fecal matter and vaginal ooze, and blood, and stays on you. And basically, the thought is that it's there. That's what you got. And if your mother
I've been cleaning my nose out all these years with anything I can find that's going to be like a bleach.
right, exactly. Like just try to kill it.
Bleach that shit right out.
Well, let's. I'm going to make a connection with the earlier part of the conversation. What about art and smell? John Waters Polyester had Odorama.
Well,
the scratch and sniff car when you attended which I have one of those actually.
You do?
I do have an original one. Yes.
Whoa.
Different point. But so someone.
That's amazing.
Like I saw that movie as a young teenager, and that was like video store culture, and I connected with someone who saw that movie too, and then we had this connection. And then as a gift, very kind, found one in a fucking like yard sale.
Wow.
And gifted it to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim, I don't mean to get vulgar, but you're forcing me to.
Please.
What about people that really like the smell of their own flatulence?
Well, that's a fetish.
Who doesn't?
It's more like a mannish
Well,
thing.
let's just,
that's
okay,
here's another baby joke. I heard this in France. Babies are like farts. Only you like your own ones.
Well, that's
Nice.
That's actually a good joke. But but I mean, who doesn't honestly like the smell of their own
so Ben
or
Franklin.
I do, and I also like my dogs.
Well,
smell.
that's a little far. That's a little far.
No, but I noticed that.
Like the smell of your own dog farts. Well, lucky for you, because as I'll quote, I'll quote Nick Tosh's, the thought of a beautiful woman picking up dog shit is something I never want to see. So I'm going to erase that thought from my memory. I'm just going to pretend your dog.
I have
shit.
a really horrible story.
No, but Lydia, I like when when there's like a transformation in just pedestrian walking in cities. So the transformation of like you need to pick up your dog shit, and so you see like beautiful women picking up with plastic bags. When the first cell phone earpieces were happening, it was like schizophrenics in the park. You have like this like well-groomed like business guy like, yeah, Fred, ha ha, no, like talking to themselves. Like
right.
It's like this new thing that's happening, and it's all ugly, right? It's like
I do not see the relation, and I would rather
I
not.
do.
So shall we have one more subject before we close this vulgarian?
Plugs. Let's do plugs.
Plugs. I was going to go into like a story about a friend of mine picking up a shit in the park, and then this guy who obviously had a fetish about it was like, oh, no, let me do that. And I was like, oh
cock
my God,
block by a
on.
shit fetish creep. Whoa. I mean,
Well,
at least
there's OnlyFans. I mean, we could start Only Farts, but the problem is you really can't even can them. They won't last long. It's just for the aesthetic concept that people will pay anything for.
They will.
So I'm just suggesting it as a future possible.
And then, like, you're gonna be kicking yourself when Only Farts becomes huge.
Lydia, with a Ben Franklin book, he was all about these tandem outhouses, and they'd read papers. He'd be like sniffing it in, like he's like, "Oh, someone ate this today." Like he was super into that stuff. Yeah, Ben Franklin.
What?
Yeah.
what you eat is reflected often in your sperm, your urine, your fecal, or your flatulent matter.
I mean, I'll say that all perfume, for instance, that perfume, what was it? Le Sang de found
I
that.
gotta say it online.
I do not reveal my perfume.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't.
But ladies, can I ask you a question? Because I'm not a
let me-
homosexual.
hold on a
What does
sec.
sperm and what does cum smell
Well, let me
like?
tell you what it smells like. It's a very high content of a molecule called cadaverine, which isn't used in perfume much, but there is a perfume. Yeah, I know
Is it
sounds
bitter? Is it weird?
well to me. It's proteiny, but like it depends what you eat.
I mean, good spunk smells bleachy. It certainly smells better than dick cheese.
Yeah, dick cheese is gross, but shit. On the other hand, I mean, so indole is a very prominent like perfume ingredient, and it's in shit, and it's in narcissus, and it's in all of the heavy white flower perfumes, and it's in all, and it is dosed to varying degrees, and it's the most sexy smell.
Interesting. Well, I mean, it's like French
Or like
cheese.
beaver balls also.
People are like, the French cheese connoisseurs are like, if it doesn't taste a little bit like shit, I'm not really interested. And then, of course, the Germans, as we know, the Germans, the German shelf toilet, they just want to hang out with that stuff for a while. We have trillions of dollars of engineers to get rid of it, and yet the Germans want to hang out with it. You know, it's like,
I mean, that was the first time I made art, was when I,
Well, I mean, some of us are what we shit.
yeah.
My mother told me.
All of us are what we
Sperm
should.
smell. Back to the smell of sperm. You didn't
Yeah,
ask
but back to the smell of sperm.
No, it's cum.
haven't
It's,
tasted your own sperm. You should. If you haven't tasted it out of somebody else's mouth or ass, I don't know what you're missing. Good sperm smells like bleach. In other words, it smells like Tim Dahl's white t-shirt.
oh God! Stop.
But it can get
If
sticky.
you like, if you enjoy, like, you can't get prudish about someone picking up a dog shit if you're talking about like eating sperm out of someone's ass.
Well, I didn't say I was.
Or I mean,
gonna
you
do-
can. In fact,
I think it probably tastes different than dog shit, though.
Yeah,
right?
but like in terms of like, the erotic and the disgusting.
I was just saying it's not something I want to witness. However,
Something I
somebody
like, right.
felching another, occasionally I might go there. I'm just saying. Anyway, I think we need to wrap this up.
Are we going to end on felching? No. Let me. Okay.
All right, make a plug, and then no pun intended. And let's
Smell sperm and report back what it smells like before I have to.
all right, do a last second plug, and then we'll talk about all types of stuff. Once this is
Winter Sea Playboy. We really recorded great thing. I sent it.
Playboy.
Yeah, I have a
My aunt worked for
new
Playboy.
duet. The noise. It's a noise, whatever, duo with this guy Oli Hervonen, who's a great guitar player, and I'm playing like processed accordions and singing, and that's the new stuff that's coming out.
It's called what?
The band is called Winter Sea Playboy.
And that's out when?
It's gonna be out in the fall. After, like, I'm gonna give Virgin Graveyard a few months to marinate, to
Simmer.
simmer, and then Winter Sea Playboy.
Nice. All right. Well, Hannah, thanks for doing this, and I'm glad that you two met.
Yeah,
I kind of
enjoyed it.
forced that hand, but Hannah kind of tapped into her intuition. She's like, "I'm calling Tim Dahl," or maybe I contacted you about our show on Friday, my birthday show, which is going to go up on Friday. I don't know. You contacted me. Yes. And so for anyone out there, well, I'm not going to, well, Gold Sounds, no comment, but that's where it's going to be. And I hope you can attend that.
Actually, I really would like to. I'm planning on it.
And Lydia,
We'll be doing the songs of Big Sexy Noise. Tim Dahl will be doing 2 other performances, one with McBar and Kevin String and with Azumi OE. And then joining me for my retribution, my rendition of mostly Big Sexy Noise songs. And that's what we're going to do this Friday, the day this goes out. So in the meantime, we've had the olfactory scientific memorist, multidisciplinary artist, HannahMarcus, and just sniff her out, if you know what I mean.
nice.